The fate of peculiardom hangs in the balance. In The Desolations of Devil's Acre, the epic conclusion to the #1 New York Times best-selling Miss Peregrine's Peculiar Children's series by Ransom Riggs. Race through history's most dangerous loops in this thrilling series the New York Times calls a visually rich literary experience. Get The Desolations of Devil's Acre, out now from Penguin Random House wherever books are sold. Also available as an audiobook.
If you thought you had to travel far to savor the pad thai of Bangkok, or to taste the pastries of Paris, take another look. With 2 times total points at grocery stores, your same kitchen can come with more cuisines. Sapphire Preferred from Chase. Make more of what's yours.
Valid up to $1,000 in purchases per month from November 1st, 2020 to April 30th, 2021. Account subject to credit approval. Cards are issued by JPMorgan Chase Bank, N.A. member FDIC.
This show is brought to you by The Makery, the podcast network for makers.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to another Knife Talk podcast. Knife Talk podcast. That's what we are on Instagram. You can find us there. I swear to God, not just Knife Talk, but Knife Talk podcast. I'm Mareko Malmasi. I just got back from a bike ride about half an hour ago, and I'm still huffing and puffing because I'm fat and out of weight. Out of shape. Anyways, I'm here with Jeff Fader of Fader Knives and Craig Lockwood of Chop Knives. We're here to talk knives, answer questions, give each other a hard time, accept your unsolicited advice, all that good stuff. But we're going to kick it off with how the past couple weeks have been, actually, because the last episode was the International Women's Day with our friend Miss Loftus Knives on Instagram, who killed it. Holly was the best. She killed it.
Great
I thought it was
job.
Yeah. I want to hear all of those episodes in full length. Like, I want to hear everything they talked about. It's too bad that they had to get shortened down, but it was good stuff. I liked it.
Holly worked like a dog.
Yes.
And to all the new listeners who are listening to Knife Talk for the first time, because you thought that it was going to be, Holly did a great job. Get ready for a drop off. It's going to be like, I mean, she did such a huge job. It was shocking.
Yeah.
It was. And I know that there was other makers that she'd actually record. And again, these were all 2-hour conversations with each maker. But unfortunately, she lost the audio. So as much as that episode was jam-packed, there is more. And I think she has managed to sort of find the lost tapes. So there may be a lost tapes version coming at some point, which would be quite nice.
Yeah.
She did such a good job for her first podcast. The first time interviewing, she interviewed all these wonderful makers. It was the people were coming out of the woodworks on this episode. She did an awesome job. So if you're here for that, prepare yourself. There's gonna be some dick jokes thrown in this.
It's a long way down.
This is quite a step off. Thanks again, Holly, for that.
Yeah. So anyway, it's been 2 weeks since we've spoken. And it does still feel as if it was just 3 or 4 days. The weeks are flying by at the moment.
Right.
What we've been up to. Mareko, what have you been up to for 2 weeks now?
What have I been up to? Besides trying to cut my hand off and getting knives mailed out. Right now, I'm going to work kind of backwards because I suck at going back 2 weeks and trying to remember stuff. So right now, I'm working on a saya for a build. And then I'm going to get back to the hand sanding on that thing. I've been doing my sayas lately with like a leather lining on the inside. And it's pretty straightforward. And I think it adds just like that little extra something to the sayas because most often they're just wood, which is great. But I don't know. I feel like lining them with a little bit of like beautiful black garment leather helps kind of step that up a little bit. So I'm working on that. Yeah, hey baby. And then I posted up a knife the other day that headed out the door. It's headed, actually I just shipped it yesterday to Australia. A lot of really positive feedback. That was really nice. Thank you everybody for your kind words. Oh yeah, and I also I cut into the ring finger and middle finger on my on my left hand. The blower I have for my grinding room that circulates the air out, it's right over the top of my grinder because the idea is like I'm grinding, the dust is making a mess, and it's going right out the blower, essentially. I was grinding, and I was only like a few seconds in. I was like, shit, my blower's not on. So I reach over like I've done hundreds of times, turned it on, and my grinder's still going, and I'm bringing my hand back, and I basically punched the side of my grinder with a 36 grip belt on it, going pretty fast. And it was it was also tracked over. So it's like all the worst things that could have been going for me. I grabbed it, wrapped it up, just like, I get little nicks and cuts and dings, whatever, all over the place. I feel like I'm talking about a used car. And I held on to it and looked at it after a couple seconds. And usually other cuts, like you put some pressure on it for a minute or so and it kind of stops. This one just started bleeding profusely again. I was like, I think I might actually need to get stitches for this one. I gave it a little bit more time, and then finally I made the call. Unfortunately, I have a urgent care facility just around the corner from my shop, and I was in and out of there in about half an hour. They had to get in because, it was dirty cut from the dirty grinding room, and so they had to like pull back sorry, this is graphic, but pull back the skin and get in there with like the iodine and soap and stuff, and it was an unpleasant feeling for sure.
And was it on your dominant hand?
No, it's on my non-dominant. So I'm right-handed and it was on my left hand, which is fortunate, but it's still awkward. And what sucks is because I got the stitches and it's kind of like right on my knuckle. You can't really make a fist with that hand because it's gonna, stretch and pull on those stitches. And so I can't do any forging really. I might be able to start doing some grinding in the next day or two. But I've been kind of basically worthless. And so the Saya work has been nice just because it's not super like, I don't know what to call it, but just, it's easier. It's more accessible and easier for me to do with my GIMP hand, or not, I guess it's not completely GIMP, but my out of service. And so, but other than that, it's just been the same normal knife making stuff. So that's
a terrible thing to happen, but it is a great advert for Combat Abrasives.
It is.
Those 36 shredders, they will fuck you up. You can get yours with 15% off using the promo code KnifeTalk15 at combatabrasives.com. Just be careful. Please be careful.
I will say also, I just actually remember one more thing. I've been working on kind of a top secret project. I heat treated a sword the other day. And I'm not really going to talk much about that because
you posted your even heat up and down. I didn't know that you could have your even heat. I didn't know you could lay it up on its end.
Yeah, so I put it on some bricks because mine is the LB, right? So the coils don't go across the back. They kind of jump outside the containment on the backside and then pop back in. So I put them up on bricks, which kept it about an inch, that back kind of housing about an inch off the ground, and allowed me to put it up vertically. And then I actually I blasted a hole in the door of the kiln, because I needed just that little extra length, because the kiln is a 27-inch deep kiln and the sword is 27 inches, and so it's that's just the blade. Like the tang is another 8 inches. And so I needed an opening in the top anyways. And I put a big hole in it because I knew if it was too tight, the bricks would still be insulating kind of around that area. I still wanted to warm up. So I blew a pretty big hole in the top and just used kale wool over the top, and it went pretty smooth. I'll probably be posting up a picture of that heat treat in the next week or so. I got more work so that's the next thing I'm kind of working on, is getting that finished ground, then hand sanded. That's a lot of hand sanding, and get that out the door.
So you say it's a top secret
yeah, kind of.
Is it because of the client, or is it for a special project?
It's kind of
without giving it too much away.
Yeah, it's kind of a special project. Not necessarily. I started this before I had a client. We'll tell you that. So I started this project, I was working on it, and then a past client was just reaching out and saying, "What's up?" and what am I working on? And I told him about the sword.
So if we guess the client, you admit to it?
Sure.
Jason Momoa.
No.
All right. You should have went with it. You should have went with it. That would have been good. The Aquaman sword.
Should have went with it, yeah. Jeff, your 2 weeks. What's been going on?
Jesus H. Christ on a popsicle stick. It's been bananas. I had a nice message from Chef Jacques Pepin, who got my knife, and his family sent some pictures, which were real nice. That was a highlight. I didn't think I was going to be as excited as I was, and I was. So that was really good. And then
That's pretty cool.
it's just been. I'm finally getting close to being up to date with all my orders. So I've been totally crazed. Heat treating all week long, getting everything done. I've been dealing with some, maniac clients, which are, I mean, some people are difficult, but fine. And I don't know who listens, so I'm going to leave it at that. And then, it's been good. We signed a deal with a winery that we're going to be dealing with, some stuff with, for the summer, which we're really, really happy about. It's going to be something that I'm looking forward to, just, a little bit more steady work, which is kind of what I want to do. Yeah, be honest with you, I'm a little tired. I'm tired because I'm emotionally drained. The Full Blast podcast has taken me into deep waters, and I'm like turning into like some sort of, I don't know. It's been an incredible experience, but it's like it has become psychically exhausting.
You're the Fraser Crane of knife podcasts now.
I mean, I don't mean for it to be. I'm all ready for dick jokes, but I mean, people want to tell me their shit, so I listen with appreciation, and it's been pretty amazing. We just finished up with Salem Straub, and he was incredible, and we're I'm just trying to get a few things finished, but everything so far so good. And the weather's getting better, but today is actually, my daughter reminded me, this is the year anniversary of her school being closed for lockdown. So like it was like the first, no more school. So we kind of been walking the dogs and talking about it, and kind of, I mean, you think about it, what it's been in a year. It's been totally crazy. And not to mention, a year ago, we started doing like double episodes to keep everyone's spirits high. And it was like, just, this year has been unimaginable, but it just feels like it's been a huge, long year. Like I remember so much of this particular year, and it's just kind of like, it's like a weird anniversary.
It's a weird one, because I'm finding the weeks are flying by. But yeah, when you think back, it's been a whole year of, in and out of lockdown and curfews, that kind of thing. It was this time last year, we were in the UK for 3 months, and we had to come back the day that sort of lockdown hit France. And yeah, that seems as if it was a lifetime ago. But, if you take week by week, they do seem to be flying by. But hell of a year.
What's interesting is, especially, talking to you, texting with you, and I'm going to imagine for you, Mareko, too. You have younger kids who probably won't remember. I mean, Craig's kids are, 2, 3, something like that?
They're 2, yeah. And I think we're very lucky because, they haven't started sort of schools and so on yet. But I know, obviously, Mareko's kid has. So I'd imagine it's affecting, your boy a bit more. So I think we're very lucky in that respect, because, it could, stunt their development, I suppose. But, Mareko's very hands-on, and his wife is as well. So you seem to be doing a lot of fun stuff, which is cool.
Yeah.
It's I mean, I got a 16-year-old who is so pumped for college. Like, she can't even, I mean, you can't even, she just wants to get the fuck out, which is great. It's a little insulting, slightly, but fine. But
she's had enough of your food.
Well, that's another story. That's for another thing. But other than that, it has been this like incredible moment for a lot of parents, and for me, I've been fortunate. The grades have been amazing because there's no like distractions, but like the psychological toll of this year on a lot of kids is going to be kind of, it'll be very interesting to see what happens, in the future. So
emo music will be big again in a couple of years. I can see it coming.
Fucking emo music.
A buddy of mine. A buddy of mine's kid was born about 6 or 8 months ago, and she hasn't known anything but people wearing masks, like anyone she's seen. And
Wow.
He's like, it's going to be a trip for her when things get a little bit better and nobody's wearing masks. She's going to be like seeing faces all over the place. I don't know, like psychologically, like I watch shows now and I see people like interacting, engaging each other like without masks on. I'm like, they're getting too close. It's weird.
It's
We have
crazy.
this weird anxiety for the characters in the shows. It's kind of stupid. But
It's bizarre. It is bizarre. It's totally bizarre, but what can you do?
What can we do?
What can you do?
Well, I've had 2 weeks of restaurant orders, which has been really nice. Just today, actually, I received a huge box of stabilized wood. Basically, I've been doing my own stabilizing for quite some time now. But I'm finding when it comes to sort of restaurant orders, I mean, I've got 2 chambers here with 2 pumps. Just can't do them quick enough. So I found somewhere locally that's doing it, and they've come back as a great job today. So that's going to speed up process a lot quicker as well.
would you call yourself a
I
two-pump
also-
chump?
A 2-pump chump.
If you're here for Holly's episode, you're sorely mistaken. Go back over the episode, guys. This ain't
2
for
jerks and a squirt.
you. Oh, Jesus Christ. This is it's such a drop-off.
I also bought a new machine as well, a planer thicknesser. So the idea is I've got all this like 100-year-old oak that we've pulled out of the flooring of the new house, and I mean there's enough to make probably thousands of knives. So yeah, I've got this planer and I can just run it through and it comes out the other end, and I've got this like lovely super hard oak with a lovely finish to it. So yeah, I'm going to be doing a run of knives, and I think like sort of full sets. So chef knives, table knives, paring knives, that kind of thing. All with these, with this flooring basically. But it's super beautiful wood. It's oak and it's old, so it's super super hard. So yes, so that's cool. And aside from that, just spending time with the family, trying to keep sane, really.
Speaking of which, I like the fact that you can't keep your podcast straight because you were on the XYZ podcast and you started telling a story that you told us, and you said to your partner, Aaron, remember that story I told you? He's like, no, I have no idea what you're talking about. You told it to us. You can't remember the stories who you're telling them to. You're doing too much, Craig.
Quite possibly. Yeah. So in other news, we talked about this on XYZ. Aaron had a lot of opinions on this. Harry and Meghan, what's going on? What do we think?
He had no opinion. He didn't go with the bit at all.
None at all. Completely oblivious to it. And I'm just like, Jesus.
I'm far more interested in the Pierce Morgan thing.
Yeah, what a shitbag. Yeah.
Yeah, what a just a thug.
Time and time again, it's his shtick. It's his brand. It's what he does.
So if you don't know, Meghan and Harry went on Oprah, and they spilled their guts about all their issues with the royalty, and Pierce Morgan, who is a certified douchebag, who went on radio or on TV like the Today Show of England, and just said that he doesn't believe a word she said, and then they blasted him, and then he walked off the set and quit.
Yeah. Yeah, it's what he does. He's like this, like a shock jock of TV. It's that's his shtick, and yeah.
Well, I just like the fact that the story now is really that he dated. He went on one date with her, she left, and then went to Harry, and then he's just been going all over the place saying how hurt he was, and then that hurt turned into him just being an asshole. That was the only thing that's interesting. But honestly, this has been a very interesting thing, only in regards to mental health, and because I've been dealing with I've been talking to a lot of people about mental health in general, and it is like I think we need to mental health is a very important thing that we should really kind of be worried about, especially during the pandemic.
I think so. I think everybody's life has been, I wouldn't say turned upside down, but people have been forced to live in a different way, and it's been tricky for everybody. I'm finding my moods at 1 week I'm the happiest I've ever been. The next week I'm just like, oh no, it's just up and down, and everybody I speak to seems to be the same. It's just a different time, isn't it? We're not used to being like this, confined. And
I'll tell you what happened this week that got me down is I was hauling ass on my list. hauling ass to the point where I wasn't really cleaning the shop up. And then I had an unexpected visitor, my landlord and a friend of ours, who's a big big mocker in the area, and then a new potential tenant of the building wanted to show the shop, and the shop was a fucking wreck. And I wasn't expecting it. I never get drop off visitors, and my landlord, who I love, he never really stops by very often, but it was really, the place looked like shit, and I felt when they didn't give a shit. These are dudes, they don't give a fuck. But at the same time, at the end when they left, I was like, I can do better than this. This is the shop shouldn't be something I'm embarrassed by. So it got me really depressed. I was just like, I can do better than this. This is like not representative of who I am. And I spent the day just clearing the shop up and kind of making it to the point where it's not as like a disaster area. And but it really kind of knocked me out. It was like it was this mental health thing of like how you're perceived, and is this how you want your people to view you, as a slob? And it was like a real that was a big one for this week.
Yeah. I'm finding I'm spending a lot less time now. I think we just mentioned the whole Harry and Meghan. There's no getting away from the Harry and Meghan thing this week, especially over here. But just a lot less time on sort of social media. Just finding it's just too much. There's just too many opinions, and it's so sort of polarizing. You either yes or you no, and there's no in between. And I basically kept off. The only time I've been opening Instagram is when I'm getting messages from you guys, and that's how we sort of chat, during the week. That's pretty much it. And I'm finding, things are slightly better for that as well.
Yeah, sure. Probably.
Yeah, I hear what you're saying, Geoff, about like people coming by the shop. I had Mark Adams, who the photographer that does the Makers Camp. He lives down in Portland right now, which is about hour and a half, 2 hours from me. And he was passing through because he went up north of me for his birthday, and we're all masked up, and he came by and kind of gave him and his partner a quick tour of the shop, and I did some foraging, but I felt like an asshole because my shop was a goddamn mess. And I don't know. I feel the same way. I hear where you're coming from.
Well, there's two different things with some shops. Like, I've been in metal shops where they're so clean, you're just like, wow, this is like a surgical precision thing. But part of the reason why that is because there's no work going through it. And then there's other shops where it's like, a pump shop where things are flying through the door, and there's just paper all over the sandpaper all over the place, and they're just like hauling ass as fast as they can. There needs to be a happy medium, and I hated it when people used to come to one of my shops that was like a fucking. I mean, we were sending railings out like so fast, and it was like there wasn't a chance to clean your area up, and it was on to the next thing. So I do want to kind of make a little bit more of a so I need something better than just that. But it was it fucked me up. It really kind of made me feel like this isn't really how I want to be represented. So clean the shop up, and it looks pretty good.
I've kind of been making Sunday my reset day in a way where I kind of plan out the rest of the week, and I just spend, like an hour, a couple hours just tidying things up and putting them back where they belong. I have a tendency to just grab something, use it, and then set it down and keep going. And so, and I think a lot of people do that. And even if it's like I'm in the shop 6 days a week, and even if you're only in the shop 5 days a week or even whatever, taking that 1 hour just to tidy up the kind of like the bulk mess. Like I'm looking at my garbage can right now, and there's a lot of stuff that hasn't made it into the garbage can. I just haven't taken, the 1 minute to go around and pick up the stuff around the garbages and put stuff like put clamps back and pencils back and the calipers. And it just, I think it's a something I haven't been more consistent about, but I know that when I feel a lot better, just like not just in being able to sit down and knowing where things are at, but just about the whole feeling efficient in my own workflow. Because anytime you spend like even 5 minutes looking for a little like 2-inch square that was just there like 2 seconds ago, and now you have no fucking idea where it's at, that's time wasted. And it's annoying. It it just adds to this, I guess not necessarily a stress, but just like the lack of fun in the process of all of the work that we're doing. You know,
it takes you off your stride too. You need
Yeah.
to then build back up to that, and
Yeah.
it's a pain, absolute pain. Shall we do some listener questions?
Hey, man, can I ask you a question?
So this is the bit of the show which we do every week, where people send in questions. We try our best to answer, but we're by no means the authority on any of this. But if you've got a question,
Contact us via DM at Knife Talk.
podcast on Instagram. Knife Talk Podcast on Instagram.
did you add that in the recording, or you just say that just now?
I just said that.
That's perfect. Perfect timing.
Knife Talk Podcast on Instagram, not just Knife Talk. We've been doing this for, 4 or 5 years now, and we've been saying the wrong Instagram address the whole time. But anyway, we've had some questions. The first one is from Luke Bright. So, question. I've heard the idea of custom order knives being almost a burden and taxes you guys to the point of almost hating it. Why don't you lean towards more of making pieces you want to make and making them available for purchase? Or open up spots for pieces you want to make with customizable options? I think that's what we're all trying to do, Luke. It's something that I've done the last month. There's been sort of 3 or 4 pieces which have been individual pieces which I really want to just make, and once they're made, I then sell them as like special one-offs. I don't know, Geoff does that, and Mareko does it too. I'm in a different spot to both Geoff and Mareko because I don't have this huge order list that I'm trying to work through. So, Geoff, I mean, what's your thoughts on this?
You know, if you're like a big company, then you can make these decisions. But like, if somebody's dangling money in front of you, you take it. You know what I mean? And I just think that you have to come up with, what we're trying to do is I like having custom stuff. And a long time ago, I made a set of 10 orange paring knives. And I thought, I'm just going to sell them all. And then I would get these messages saying, I love it, but I want a different color. I love it, but I want a different color. I love it. I ended up getting rid of them, but it was like, people, there's something about people that they just want, they want what they want.
Fucking people.
And I'm noticing now, especially, like we've made it on our website easy to just pre-purchase stuff without going back and forth. People want to talk. They want it. They want their own customization. So it's just like, what are you going to do? But I'm just about finished with. I'm hoping by the middle of April, I'll be completely caught up. We already have a few different things we're going to do, and then I am going to be doing that. But at the same time, people want what they want, and if you're in the custom business and you want to be in this position of saying, all right, I'm make you whatever you want. I don't give a fuck. You want different kind of. You don't want walnut, not maple. I don't have a problem with that. I think it's also nice to give someone a degree of control over something that they want, and I like that. But it's like you have to balance it. I don't hate what I do. I love what I do. I like the fact that this is business, and I appreciate it very much, and I'm appreciative of the customers, and I'm lucky as fuck, and I appreciate the shit out of it. I think that it's okay to everything not be, I think it's okay not to love everything about what you're doing. Some things you just don't like, it's fine. And as long as you understand the final goal.
In an ideal world, I think the 3 of us would be doing exactly as you recommend there, just working on a piece that we really want to make. Once it's finished, selling it. But I mean, in my instance, the bread and butter of my income comes from sort of restaurant orders where they're making, 50, 60, however many knives, all exactly the same. There's very little creativity going into that apart from making that first initial knife. The rest are just duplicates of that. So yeah, as Geoff said, you just got to do. You got to bring the money in. That as I said, the ideal world is I don't do that. I just do these special one-offs. But they're few and far between, and they take a lot of time to make. And unless you can command the sort of prices to give you the type of income that you need, it's difficult. It really is difficult.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I wouldn't have started any different than I did, which was working with a retailer and taking custom orders. I think part of it was just a case of necessity, like both of you guys have already said. Like, especially when you're first starting out, and especially if you don't really have much of a name for yourself yet. Like, honestly, like, I'll be amazed if anybody can really sell much of anything, first starting out, and just by, I mean, and I don't know, just making your own thing. Or basically, I feel like there's a level of kind of almost arrogance, I guess, when I read his question, like that that he thinks, you should just be able to make what you make, and then people are going to buy it. But before you get to that position, I think you do have to, what people will say is like, pay your dues in a way. And some of that's doing customs. And I honestly, I enjoy customs. I just wish I had stopped taking all customs like 2 years ago. I probably still would take customs, but just the ones that I thought were interesting or maybe challenged me in a way that I was interested in trying to, like, in a direction that I wanted to go, versus just taking everything. I have been fortunate to get to a position where basically anything I make I can sell now. So, but I'm now kind of beholden to this list of custom orders that I've already promised that I would make. And so I'm kind of working to get to where I've basically dwindled that list down to nothing, and I can do more of a mix of whatever I want to make, as well as some customs. But that way I have kind of more control as to what customs I do take in. Otherwise, if I'm not interested in the knife, I'll just maybe direct somebody to an order list, or not an order list, but like a mail list, and say, if you're interested in anything that comes up in the future, I'll put it out, and if you like it, you buy it or whatever. But I think customs, honestly, like it's not a bad way to start initially. But once you do get to that point where you've got enough momentum, and you have a strong reputation, and people are, you have so much demand that basically anything you make, you have a bunch of people clawing after that, then you can just start making some of those strategic choices as to if you want to keep making customs or no customs at all, or some sort of medium place in between. But yeah, I think ultimately more makers are trying to get to that point where they can have a little bit more of that creative freedom. Because for you guys too, I'm sure there's kind of an exploratory aspect to this process in creativity and and learning along the way. And I think that's one of the biggest things that anybody probably is shooting for when they're doing this work, or any kind of creative making work. But I think it's part of those dues that you just kind of have to pay initially, until you get to a point where you can have be in a more of a leverage position to make different choices.
This is something we've been dealing with since we started this podcast, which is there's different people from different avenues and different areas of this being their business. Some of them are hobbyists who just want to learn how to do it, and some of them are trying to get into business, and some of them are in business. And we have this, I think that when we've covered this a million times, but there's a lot of knife makers out there who are very well established, who say this is what you do. You make what you want, and you don't let anyone give you choices, and you make what you want, and you do everything you want to do, and then the money will come. For some people that just won't happen. So, and at the same time, it's like, are we these dilettante artists who can just do whatever we want, and then the money's just going to kind of rain from the sky? Not necessarily. I mean, I think that we have this position where if you're focused on being a business, unfortunately, there are parts of being in business that you don't want to do. Like we had to send sales tax in this past quarter. It's a lot of money, and it's just like, if we didn't have to do that, life would be a little bit better, or dealing with our accountants, or dealing with the things that we have to do, or I'm waiting for one last form for our accountants that haven't been done before I can file my tax. These are things that it's not fun, and it's just the way it is.
Fucking shipping,
whatever. It's just like, I think that you get to the point where we're spoiled in the sense where we've created these false illusions that everything's fun. I'm not going to do an Instagram story of me on the phone with my accountant. That's fucking terrible. I'm not going to some of it's not good, and that's just the way it is. It can't all be, like I said, it's not all lightning bolts and high fives. There's some bullshit involved, and it isn't just hand sanding. So you have to make decisions and I think, unfortunately, I don't think everybody's cut out for this. I don't think people are cut out for the ability to make decisions in regards to, is this going to be a business? If this is going to be your hobby, fucking do whatever the fuck you want, and congratulations, God bless you. But if you want to be in business, unfortunately, there are things that you're going to have to do that you're not going to necessarily want to do. You should do them.
You sound like a pole dancer, Geoff.
Fuck you! What are you talking about? Pole dancing? Pole dancing?
I really didn't want to have to give the extras, but you got to take the money.
Knife talk on OnlyFans.
There's a few knife makers on that, I can tell you.
You can?
Not that I go trawling through OnlyFans, but there's quite a few that advertise their services on OnlyFans on Instagram, isn't there? Yeah. Who's taking the next one?
Wow. Okay.
All right, I'll take the next one. This is from the Canton Cutler. It says, "Hey KTP, as the president of the Angle Grinder separatist movement, I'm looking at what other options can strengthen our cause. I like the look of a plasma cutter. Any reason why this isn't also a better option? Regards, El Generalissimo."
Generalissimo of the Angle Grinder separatist movement. Jake is the Generalissimo.
Plasma cutter. I haven't used one. I'd love a CNC plasma cutter, but I am aware that they can leave a lot of sort of dross and sort of bad edges and hard edges because obviously there's a lot of heat being used. But if you guys, do you use plasma cutters?
Nope.
In your knife making at all?
I know that Jonathan Porter has one. He's got the Langmuir systems. And
the CNC cutter, yeah.
He does a great. I mean, he's great. Yeah, he sent me some. Of course, that there's some. I think it depends on how you want to change the tips and the nozzles and the, your travel speed. You want to go. You ought to talk to. If you want to talk about all that, you go to the Handmade podcast. They'll tell you all about traveling speeds and all that. Chris Zepp, P.S. guys, congratulations to Chris Zepp. He won the second episode.
Oh, he won. I haven't seen it yet.
Way to go, Geoff.
Hey, you called me a fucking pole dancer before, you little four-eyed bastard. Go ahead, I'll spoil some more things. I owe you. So Chris made it happen. And a funny story, funny enough. So if you go to the History Channel and look up "Assembly Required," his episode is up. I think it's called like "Kick the Grass," something about the lawnmower.
Yeah.
So a number of months ago, when I was doing that video with Charlie Palmer, where I was cooking the steaks and I poured the oil all over the place, he cut my plates out for me while he was in the middle of that filming. So he actually through the whole thing, he said, "Hey, come on by." So I came on by. The shop was a fucking wreck, and he had this huge crate. He was shipping the big lawnmower out to California or wherever it was. He was so funny. He didn't tell me what happened. He was very by the book, but he was just like, these motherfuckers here, these people are fucking crazy, and this guy's nuts, and this guy's crazy. It was a lot more fun hearing the behind the scenes of what actually happened. But
sure.
Chris Sepp's the man.
I'm pretty sure
he's gonna go places.
I'm pretty sure those pieces he cut for you made it into the show.
Really?
I'm pretty sure I saw him laying on his bench. At one point, there's like a pan across of something else he's working on, and they're right there. And I was like, "Shit, those look like Jeff's little steel."
That might have been. He finished. He had a plasma table, and he was cutting all his parts out. And number one, he was going up against two schnooks. One was a real schnook. One was a real schnook that the host was making fun of him because he was a steampunk guy, and he said, "What's a steam pump?" He goes, "No, you moron, it's steampunk." There's no way that guy was going to win. Sorry. And then all of a sudden, Chris pulls out the fucking plasma table. And it's just like, come on, man. You're going to be the guy in a shed with a guy with let me whip up some brackets here. And he turns on the old Lincoln. And it's like, but I don't know what we're talking about.
It was a good episode.
Plasma cutters.
Right.
Plasma cutters.
The plasma, they're great. I get worried about, like, if you were to get, and I know you can get, I know what Jonathan does. He gets sheets of steel. I don't know if he's using stainless because, with carbon steel, you obviously have to normalize it, right? So if it does get too hot, you can still normalize it and it'll be fine. I don't know how hot the cuts become to the point where are they going to harden the steel? Like if it's stainless, as we had Lauren Thomas, he said that, you don't really, if you were to normalize it, it would just kind of harden because it just air hardens. So I don't know exactly what would happen with stainless unless you normalize it. So
yeah, don't know. But I mean, basically, it's trying to achieve what either a high powered laser or a water jet cutter would do. It's trying to do that at a lower cost. So for me, it just seems there's a lot of cleanup afterwards. And whether it would speed up the process, I don't know. But I've never used one, so I'm only guessing there, really.
Last time I used one, I was still working for Bob Kramer, but I could see and it was just all by hand, and I could see if you had like a bandsaw blade or like a crosscut saw blade or something like that, one of those antique blades, or there's some other scrap material that you came across that you were just kind of roughly cutting out the shapes just to blast them out. I'm sure that would be compared to an angle grinder, I think it'd be awesome. But if you're gonna get really close to the final dimension, or I guess profile of the knife, then that's definitely something else to take into consideration, because bringing that steel up to a really high temperature, not only potentially hardening it, but also having metal that is kind of been messed up or partially melted along what might be potentially becoming your cutting edge is also a concern. And so if you're going to do it along the cutting edge, then maybe you have to build in a little bit of extra buffer room that that you're going to grind through to get to where your actual cutting edge is going to end up being.
Yeah. And by the way, whilst we're talking about angle grinder separatist movement, I know 2 people locally here who have been using angle grinders and their wheels have exploded just this week. 2 people. So I'm wondering whether they've been stored away for the winter. They're bringing them out in slightly warmer weather. I'm wondering whether the moisture or they're just old wheels. I don't know why, but it's just coincidence that, the very few people that live around here, 2 of them have ended up in hospital with wheels exploding.
Oh,
yeah.
Yeah, I saw Nick Wheeler had one blow up on him the other day.
I was just going to say.
Wow. That's 3.
Separatist movement's looking more and more popular. I don't use those goddamn grinders. I did use the grinder because I've been getting, for some of the profiles of some of my knives, I need a little bit wider material, and it just can't get through the bandsaw. So I got to do a little bit of cuts, but I hate that. I hate angle grinders. I don't like them at all.
Yeah, those bandsaws are the way to go.
Yeah. By the way, if you start hearing some fart sounding noises, it's not me, I promise. On the other side of the shop, they're doing construction.
What?
And they fart a lot.
No. It's the drill.
What's the construction noise that sounds like a fart?
Here, just like this. So when you got the torque limiter on your drill, it sounds like toots, and so that's what's happening on the other side of the shop.
Okay, we believe you.
I did, and I also ate Indian food for lunch.
Okay, this one comes from Tim Landini. Hey, gents. So I have a question. I'm a grad student, and for an independent study, I'm bringing hands-on forging labs, small stuff, to my university, as we don't teach anything like it yet. I have secured a donor, and I haven't decided on what to have them donate. My question is, which anvil would you guys recommend for 2 to 3 people? I have a 100-pound London pattern for personal use, and I really don't want to sacrifice my anvil for the cause. Would a German pattern be better for beginner-level projects or over a London pattern? Thanks in advance.
I have a problem with the German patterns myself.
Well, tell me.
Well, they don't. So it's all one level straight across from nose to tail. There's no table. And I think if you're going to do something like this, you want some flexibility. And that little table, especially in blacksmithing processes, makes a big difference in functionality of it. It's for me in functionality of an anvil.
You know what?
So I would definitely lean towards London pattern myself.
It's funny that you say that because I generally don't like that step.
Oh, really?
And for years, and one of our listeners has the anvil that I was using forever, which is my buddy Mike Cataldo has a 1,500 pound. He had a 1,500 pound Euro anvil that he got from from Pat Quinn. I'm talking to you directly, Michael. If anything happens and I don't end up with that anvil, we're going to have a problem. At some point down the line, it could be 30 years from now, 40 years from now, some point we're going to have to figure something out because I need that. I love the completely flat, and it actually has a side shelf, which is very controversial too. I kind of like a side shelf. I just kind of like a side shelf too. Just get it. You know what I would do? Here's what I would do, Tim. Donate your 100-pounder and have them get you a new anvil. Don't play. Give them a piece of shit, and then you take the nice one. How you like that? Is that unethical? Is that unethical?
Not at all. Not at all.
I'll tell you how. So this is how I use that step. I don't actually use this step very often, but I like that there's a step down to the horn from the work surface, because when I'm forging my integrals and that angled bolster, I can work right there at that corner where it transitions from the table, or sorry, the work surface to the horn, and I can pivot right there, flipping the blade over side to side right there over that corner. And on a German pattern, I cannot do that because there's no clearance there. And so
there you go.
For an integral, and especially if it's an angled integral, it becomes really awkward. If you're doing a straight integral, maybe it's not that big of a deal. But angled integral bolster, it becomes a pain in the ass for sure.
I'll tell you how I use my anvil.
Let's hear it.
I've started taking my coffee without any milk or cream, so it's a lot hotter than usual. So if I set my coffee down on top of the anvil, it sucks some of that heat out really quickly, and I can drink my coffee quicker. That's how I use my anvil.
That is a good tip right
Seriously.
there. That's a top tip. That's a top tip. That's a top tip, Tim. There you go, Tim. Whatever cools your coffee down.
Okay, we got another from Joe Egbert. Again on Instagram. I have the chance to get a couple of thick log sections of ironwood. Any tips on breaking down efficiently to make them usable? Usable boards for scales or handles. I don't want to waste more than necessary. Any ideas on things to do with the odd size offcuts? So he's got some big slabs of ironwood. I'm interested in this because I've got a bunch of wood that I need to be cutting up from trees, that are just random shapes as well. So personally, I've been using a table saw, but I hate using it. Absolutely hate using table saw. I probably need a good band saw, with a solid fence on it, so I can do some nice straight cuts. But at the moment, I'm using a table saw, then taking it to a band saw. But yeah, I've just got this thickness of planer as well, so I can then make sure everything's flat and the right thickness that I need. What do you guys do with big chunks of wood?
I fucking hate it. That's what I do. I had to like cut down all these cherry burls over the summer. And I had to get this electric chainsaw. I destroyed it. That fucking thing was a piece of shit. And I destroyed the shit out of it. But I got enough done that I cut a lot of material away. And then after I broke it, I just used my tiger saw, my reciprocating saw, just to finish some of the last cuts. And then I started milling it down on the table saw. And then because to stabilize it, I wanted to make sure I had a lot of material left over. So I really cut them down quite big. I didn't get them before it destabilized, dry them out and stuff like that. I kind of left them really big. I let them dry for a long time, and then I cut them with the chainsaw, and I let them dry for a while, and then I started making them smaller, and then I started to dry. Yeah, every stage I let them dry as they went, and it wasn't fun. I don't like it.
I'll tell you. Sorry, go ahead.
I got nothing. It fucking sucked, and I hated it.
I'll tell you a tip that I learned about those battery-powered saws, because I had to use one a few months back to help do some, taking out some trees at my son's school, and and they were just little dinkers. But I was trying to cut with the blade portion of the saw, which I've always done with gas-powered, and I had no problem. But on the electric, it's too much surface area in engagement, and I realized that if I only use just the tip, It's
she
it's
said.
more it's a more force and more work in a smaller surface area, and it was blasting right through. So in the future, if you have to do that, try to get more tip action in there, and you should cut through just fine. But yeah, I'm right there basically with you, Geoff. Like I would figure out kind of what bandsaw I'm using to break stuff down, and then I would use the chainsaw to break it down to the largest size that basically my bandsaw could use, and then break it down from there and use my bandsaw. I've never used a table saw for breaking down boards, just because one, I don't really have one, but two, I hate the saw curve. Like even though it's only like 1/8 of an inch, it kills me that it feels like it's removing so much material. But then on the second part of his question, asking kind of like, what do you do with some of the offcuts? When you're taking pictures, like they make sometimes some like nice like extra stuff in the photo or something the rest of the blade across. I've actually taken some pieces and cut little like made saw blade cuts just with my bandsaw, and made like a knife rest that you could kind of, instead of the knife laying down flat, you can rest the blade vertically on the material, kind of like a little stand, or even for like business cards, or a little display stand, I guess. I don't know, but that's the little kind of things I've done with kind of offcuts and
spacers.
Yeah, spacers. Yeah, exactly.
I'm about to throw a pile of it in the woods. I'm about to throw a bucket into the woods. How you like that? That's where my offcuts are going to go.
Nice. Let me tell you about Even Heat, which are the ovens, or the kilns rather, that the three of us use. They're the best in the business. So if you're making knives, you need to get a good, reliable heat treat. And the best way to do that is with an Even Heat. It's why we use them. They're the best. But we can actually get you a discount as well. So a distributor called Soul Ceramics, and they're an Even Heat distributor, we can get $75 off and free shipping within the States as well. And they stock them all, and they can get whatever you need. So whether it's the 120 version or the 240 version, or you want the KO version, whatever, the KF Extreme for the longer blades, they've got them all. And if you go to knifetalk.net/heat, it'll take you straight there, and it'll automatically apply those discounts at discount. So at checkout, rather. And that's with Soul Ceramics, who are probably the world's best Even Heat distributors. So go take a look. You need an Even Heat. You need to go to Soul Ceramics. knifetalk.net/heat.
Hey, guys! This is for the listeners who send me messages saying, what was that link again? Fucking rewind in 30 seconds. It's there.
It's in the show notes, too.
It's in the show notes, but just go rewind. I am getting more messages about what did you say? It's like, motherfucker, you have a rewind button. I get that shit all the time. Like, well, fucking listen. Well, what is it? I'm like, well, fuck you. Listen to the fucking episode again.
Also, regarding show notes, if you don't know how this works, at least in iTunes or the iPodcast app, where you look at the screen, you got the whole player and everything. If you swipe up, just right on where it says Knife Talk Podcast, swipe up, it'll pull up all the different notes and highlights and stuff that Craig is talking about.
Yeah, so if we've got any links we're talking about in the show, they're generally going to be there. Or if you're on, you listen by the website at makery.network, they're all there as well. They're on Spot, they're everywhere. So wherever you listen to the podcast, you'll find the show notes too. So knifetalk.net/heat, and that's for your Even Heats.
I mean, you wouldn't call that a hot take, but...
Hot takes, that's the thing.
Fucking guy. All right, so here's what we did. And this is a very popular bit that we're going to keep going with until it's no longer popular.
Until somebody else steals it and copies us, basically. And we need to move on and come up with something else.
Here's a hot take. You're all a bunch of fucking thieves. And it isn't just from knife making. I'm telling you that. So a hot take is... I'm fascinated by the concept. A hot take is, in journalism, a hot take is a piece of deliberately provocative commentary that's based almost entirely on shallow moralizing. So it was a sports...
Piers Morgan is a hot take himself.
He's a hot take machine. So basically, there's
hot
no
Carl
facts.
Is what he is.
No. Yeah, I might have to Don't explain that to some of the listeners. Not this time. So it's basically loud, fact-free declarations, and this is something that is started in the radio industry. The sports talk radio is a tactic of hosts picking a topic that would make people call up, usually angrily. So, like, here is an example of a hot take that I have for you, the listener. And if you send us the hot takes, 2 sentences maximum. You don't have to give me full blast. Here's a hot take. People who don't shut up about their freedom are the first people to tell you how to live your life.
I'm pretty sure that's what they're doing.
Is a fucking hot take.
That's
a hot take.
Very good.
That's a hot take. So send in your hot takes. It's basically, whatever. All right, so here's a hot take. This one comes from Mammoth Creek Knives. Here's a hot take. If you don't pimp out the paint on your brand new Broadbeck Ironworks belt grinder, you're an idiot. Can't wait until it gets here. Thanks for the Knife Talk 10 pod discount. So I didn't
pimping out the paint. What?
Well,
what's he
when you get
talking
the
about?
Broadbeck, they're not painted. So a lot of guys are like juicing up their grinders with some sexy paint. So there you go, Mammoth.
I have not done that myself yet. I have a
Me
friend
neither.
who does
I'm an
auto body paint though. I might have to get him over here, do some work.
We need to get the guy who Neil Kamimura gets to do his press. He had his press pinstriped.
Oh,
That thing looks awesome. Next one comes from Jamie Mackey. Here's a hot take. Live edge wood and resin is the CrossFit of knife handles. So he gave me an example, which I took a little bit offensive to, but I mean, at the same time, he's not wrong. So pine cone in resin equals a fully grown man in Dayglow Lycra springing on monkey bars. So shots fired. Shots fired. Oh,
Brilliant.
Man. Fruity Woods
Brilliant.
out. Fruity Woods out. So, okay.
I've just ordered 2 huge chunks of live edge wood to make the bar in the house.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it's very much the CrossFit of wood.
Well, is the CrossFit basically? I was asking about it. He gave me that, and I guess it's like people just don't shut up about it. But
yeah, I think so. And it's also it's sort of 2 or 3 years ago it was cool, and it's no longer that cool. I think that's what it is as well.
Yeah. Chris Park says, here's a hot take for you. People who claim to listen to the show, but still ask what grit progressions you use while hand sanding. You fucking kidding me. They've obviously never listened to the show. Rub and tugs for life. Right. That's inside.
Yeah.
Inside.
Oh, they asked for promo codes. Yeah.
Oh,
my God.
You have no... I'm
Is that our new
amazed how
promo
much
code?
I love people...
Rub and tug.
No. David Pinn says, here's a hot take for Craig. The Wales versus England rugby match should have ended much differently. The referee should be fired, preferably out of a cannon.
If you take away the admittedly terrible decisions by that referee, we still would have won. I think we won by 16 points. So even if you had 2 tries converted, we still would have won. So, better team won at the end of the day.
There you go. Hot take.
Unbeaten.
This one is fun because it comes from Stone Ridge Metalworks. Here's a hot take. Just because you're older than someone doesn't mean you're better. Stone
Damn
Ridge
straight.
is 15. So I told him, I said, spoken like a true 15-year-old. He's the man. I'm with you, Stone Ridge. Don't let him tell you you're fucking wrong because you're right. I'm with you 100%. Give him hell. Ben's Bites, hot take. Ben's Bites. Knife Talk should do an entire episode of dick jokes. I bet they can't get past 45 minutes.
We'd give it a go.
We give it a go. Joran Nipperberg says, hi, guys. Here's a hot take for you. Everyone who calls out another knife maker for shortcuts or cheating is petty and jealous. Keep up the good work. Here is an aggressive. This is an aggressive one. Diego Le Pen says, here's a hot take. No place in the United States or anywhere else in the world apart from Italy has the right to dub itself the world capital of pizza, especially not Chicago. Yeah, Diego's a proud Italian. Yeah, he don't like it. Pizza's only for Italy over Diego. Diego, we're with you. You ain't beating New Haven though. I'm sorry to tell you that. I hate to say
There's
it.
a weird thing I find with Americans wanting to be either Italian or Irish. I know that they have a lot of, second generation Italians and Irish that, that moved over, particularly to New York and so on. But I don't know, they've got this weird affinity where they want to be Irish or Italian.
I tell you what,
What's wrong with you?
a number of years ago, we were talking about the Conor McGregor Khabib Nurmagomedov fight, and I gave my prediction, which I was right, almost down to the round. And I went to a party, and it was at a cigar lounge. Everyone was there, was wearing their Irish gear, and they were all up for Conor McGregor, and they were all Irish. And I was just like, dude, you're from fucking Staten Island. And I was talking to, I'm like, what are you doing? You guys aren't Irish. You're all from fucking Westchester. You're fucking not from. And I was talking to Fingal about it, and he goes, "Oh, Americans are the best. They think that they're They think that they're Irish. And when they tell them that they're Irish, we all just say, no, you're just Americans." So,
I've been watching lots of videos on YouTube of people with their setting up home bars and home pubs, just for sort of ideas. And it seems everybody has done it in lockdown. But every American, they're like, "This is our real Irish themed bar." And it's like, well, first of all, in Ireland, they don't have Irish themed bars. They just have bars,
just a bar.
And it's just all just so, oh man, you're not Irish.
can I tell you how awful St. Patrick's Day in New York is? It is everybody, for some reason, people dress in green and they say Aaron go brah and they do all this bullshit. It's just like, it's like stereotypical. It should be Irish people should be offended. It's awful.
Yeah. It's like a Disney thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
Very strange.
Lorian Blade has 4 hot takes, guys. Lorian Blade's hot take number 1 is more people would tune in if you renamed your podcast Boner Talk.
Well, we may possibly have a brand deal coming up, and we may need to. We may have to call it Boner Talk.
We're gonna be we're gonna have a segment saying how your penis is.
More about that in maybe later.
Hot take number 2: people who consider you their competition can't be relied on upon pricing advice. That's not bad. Hot take number 3: people don't actually use knives. And hot take number 4 is rub and tug is Welsh for hand sanding. You love that. Craig loves the hot takes. I'm going to keep reading because he's very happy.
I'm a big fan. Wait, that's why he's got his own jingle.
Maximus Knives says, here's a hot take for you. Proper Italian restaurants don't have Alfredo sauce on the menu. If so, they're the McDonald's quality Italian cuisine.
We've got a big Italian listenership, maybe.
I think he's on board with our boy Diego. Matt Burchett said, Monday morning hunting for you guys. I don't know what that means, but Matt Burchett says, here's a hot take. T-shirts with pockets on them are pointless and stupid. You love these. Are you drunk? No, seriously. Are you drunk, Craig?
No, I don't know. I find that funny. I've had a few. But...
So, guys, it's not you giving him the giggles. He's half in the bag.
I find people who wear T-shirts with pockets, they've generally got tits. they've got moobs, and that pocket is there to try and hide
just the one tit.
Just one big moob.
You heard it here first. You heard it here first.
Mono tit.
Okay, James. See everybody who was here for Holly's episode. You hit the wrong one. This one comes from James Lag. Good day, cabbages. Oh, sorry, wrong progress. Wrong podcast. Hey, cuties. Here's my hot take. Australia is the greatest country in the world. Congratulations. Flavio Denio says, hot take: a Bowie knife sucks as a barbecue knife. Dylan Myrick says, I don't even need real friends anymore. I have you guys. Great show as always. P.S. Where are these rub and tugs? GPS coordinates, please. Well, Dylan, that's not really a fucking hot take, is it?
It's not a service we provide.
GVF996 says, here's a hot take. Bread knives are for people who can't sharpen. That is a fucking ridiculous hot take. You have not used the sharp knife to cut a fucking bull, have you, Junior? Ain't gonna work.
No.
Caleb Gant says, "Hey, sports."
Jeez, we got a lot.
Dude, people fucking love the hot takes. I only got a couple more. Caleb Gant says, "Hey, sports fans, I got a hot take. Knife makers are arrogant bastards." He might not be wrong. That might be a pretty real thing. Chris Nash says, "Hey guys, I have a hot take for you. Food release. Who gives a shit? Just slide the food off your knife with your finger into a dish. If you can't do that quickly and safely, you shouldn't be allowed to have sharp knives in your hand. Keep up the great podcast." Chris, 2 sentences. And the other thing is I am on board with, after listening to Salem Straub and Mareko talk about S-grinds, I'm on board, 100%. You're incorrect. But that is it's a long hot take, but it's a proper hot take. And the last hot take comes from Derek Bosley. He says, "I have a hot take. People that call chaps assless chaps, hey dickheads. All chaps are assless. If they weren't, they'd be called pants." There we have it.
He's very sensitive about his chaps.
No, Cowboys don't. When you talk to Ben Snur, he says, "I don't know why you think they're pronounced shaps." So he says, "I don't know why you say the shaps are assless, because that's not the case." So there you go. Hot takes, guys. So send in your hot takes, and hopefully they'll be better than these. But Craig liked them, so that's good enough for me.
Lots of giggles.
Let's do it. Let's do a couple more questions. David Meek Knives. "Hey, cuties, can I ask you a question? I'm finally about to start setting up my shop again after moving down to sunny Tampa. Go Bucks."
Yeah, girl.
Something to do with some fake football team, I assume.
Buccaneers. That's money.
For now, I'll be setting up along the wall of a 2-car garage until I have a more dedicated and permanent setup. My question is, when setting up your own respective shops, what do you prioritize more? Workflow or economy of space? I obviously want to reserve some garage space for other things, and I'm trying to come up with a viable layout. Also, thanks for letting us mouth off with our hot takes. Shout out to Matt at Gentry Custom Knives, who was excited about mine last week and agreed with me 100%. Whoa. Yeah, you can't use the show to promote yourself. This is what we do. Loving the show, as always. Keep it up. Hashtag I'm with you.
There you go.
That's a long one. Shop space, 2-car garage. I tell you who does it very well is Jeremy from Simple Little Life. His shop's in a 2-car garage, and it seems to be huge. And in fact, he's just built like a mezzanine as well to make it bigger.
Oh, wow.
But he seems to have a really smart and well laid out
I don't think that's a 2-car
shop.
garage. That thing looks pretty big.
I think it is bigger, maybe. Yeah. I don't know. I'm in that process at the moment of sort of redesigning a new shop. Yeah, workflow or economy of space. I think it goes down to something we were talking about earlier when we were talking about if the place is just like a complete and utter shithole, it's hard to get the mentality of doing good work. So I think it just needs to work with regards to workflow, and everything needs to have its space and it to be easy to keep clean. I think that's probably key.
But the thing is like that's the interesting thing about all this is usually when people start out, you end up starting to run out of space really quick.
Yeah.
I mean, my first shop, which was like a 10 by 8 shed, I had everything. I had things up on the walls. I had on doors. There wasn't a room, and you could turn around and be at every single station and standing in one spot. When you're talking about knife making, you don't really need a million things. It's really a grinder, an oven, a drill press, right? I mean, what else do you really? I mean, do you really need? I mean, besides little hand tools and shit.
Sandpaper. Do you know where you get that from?
Tell me.
In Dasa, USA, they make the world's best sandpaper. It's what the three of us use. If you're going to use sandpaper, you might as well use the best because it's going to save you time, it's going to save you money, and to save you a little bit more money, you can buy that from Texas Fire Supply. If you use Knife Talk 10 as a promo code, you'll get 10% off not just your Indasa sandpaper, which the Rhino Wet is the one to go for. It's killer. That's the one. But you also get 10% off the rest of your order from Texas Fire Supply. And they've got a whole section there for knife makers. So, yeah, take a look. TexasFireSupply.com. They're shipping throughout the US, and you can get 10% off with Knife Talk 10.
Look at you. Unbelievable. You don't really.
You got to get him in, haven't you?
We got to get him in. I'm with you.
Jam him in.
You don't. When you have a limited amount of space, all of a sudden your luxury goes away. So I think it's really kind of the best thing is to really optimize your space. One thing I would do would be is if I had a really small space, I'd have my kiln on like a dolly or like not a dolly, like a moving trolley, so I could tuck it away when I'm not using it. I would think about really focus on how to maximize the space and as my sister used to tell me, don't shit your shop up with crap. Don't shit it up with crap is what she used to say. So really, really pare down, and you're going to realize that you don't need as much as you think you do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Me really quick, I would also I would try to optimize space. I wouldn't necessarily be too focused on workflow, just because if you got a small space and you got everything on wheels, you can just kind of roll things around. I've seen a lot of makers have pretty snug garages full of stuff, but they got them all on rolling racks or rolling carts and stuff like that, and they can really just kind of economize the space and, you know, easily adjust and move things around when they're not working on using a certain machine or anything like that. Doesn't Chris Zepp like do a pretty good job with keeping everything like on casters and super kind of snugged up and fit into each other really nicely?
I don't know.
He's got about 30 bridge ports
Dude,
there, hasn't he? I don't know, there's room to swing a cat by the sounds of things.
Chris's shop is impressive. The impressive part is he can fit it all in there. I mean, what is the expression? He put 10 pounds of shit in a 5-pound bag. I'm not saying Chris's stuff is shit, but he really packed it up. He got all his stuff in like some TikTok leggings. You know what I'm saying? You know about TikTok leggings, Mareko?
No.
This is my favorite thing. There is this thing, and I'm talking to a few people about it. I'm obsessed with TikTok leggings because it's this new thing. Not new, but like somebody's figured out that you can make like this these pants that allow that give extra room for your butt cheeks. And there's like some sort of like thing in the middle. It basically accentuates your ass. I think mostly for women, of course. So it's
Well, you're not wearing those?
No, but it's weird because they've also put this like optical illusion netting on the end of it. I'm obsessed with it. I'm obsessed with it about like I'm trying to figure out some sort of metaphor. The TikTok leggings are a metaphor for something else. So
let me Google these. I need to see.
Dude, just hashtag TikTok leggings. Come on, man.
I have seen those. I know what you're talking about now.
Yeah, it's a specific like you can't. They're not just like. They're a specific thing. Yeah. So, well, Craig's...
Okay, I see.
Oh, yeah. Do you?
Yeah.
Your glasses are fogging up.
Back in a minute.
Back in a minute.
We shall now take this break.
Last week was International Women's Day, and now we're talking about TikTok leggings on a Knife Talk podcast. This is an embarrassment.
I'm back. Didn't take me long.
Oh, God. What the fuck are we doing?
Squirt.
Oh, what are we doing? Oh, we're going to lose it all.
Okay, I just need you to see what you're talking about. Give some context to what you're talking about.
Should we take another question?
Well, I mean, it's just Chris Zepp's shop is the TikTok leggings of shops. I mean, he's fitting it all in there.
Yeah.
There you go. Feel free to...
Let's do another question.
Okay. This one is from, let's make sure I got the right person. No, how do you say that? Noel Flam. He says, hey, they say, hey guys, I have a safety related question. When forging, do you have any recommendations for safety glasses? Months ago, I had to have what I assume was a speck of forge scale removed from my eye and have gone through a ton of different safety glasses to try and find the best ones for forging. But so far, most either fog up, aren't comfortable, or still let debris in from the top. Any opinions are greatly appreciated, especially if it will help keep someone else from having to go through what I did. Any tips?
Ooh, that sounds painful.
Yeah, it does not sound like fun.
those little things have a way of figuring a way to get past your eye protection somehow.
For sure. Yeah, a
What
long
do you
time
guys
ago,
think?
Mike Quisenberry, I would wear eye protection from time to time, but I was doing some forging with Mike Quisenberry a few years back, and he was 100% on board with, or he was like, what are you doing? You can't be, I'm not going to show you how to do I'm not doing any forging with you until you get some eye protection. Like, he saw me dinking around, and I was asking him some questions, and he was like, no, we're not doing anything. Get some eye protection. And sure as shit, like, just a few minutes later, I was forging on some stuff, and something landed right on my cheek. And he's like, and I was like, fuck, and got it off my face. And he's like, now imagine if that went straight into your eye. And I was like, oh my God. All right. So I've been 100% on board with eye protection. The eye protection I have are actually a pair of glasses I got from my brother. He used to be 375 Airborne Ranger, and this is stuff he used to wear like in Afghanistan and like in sandstorms and shit like that. And so I don't know if those are easily accessible, but basically they're like regular goggles, but they have a little bit of like foam border around the eye that kind of help encase the eyes or kind of keep debris out. But they also breathe, so they don't necessarily fog up. But I found, because I have kind of a roundish face, I like, if something's gonna bounce off my face, it's almost always gonna bounce right into my eye. Even when I'm wearing my face shield and my respirator and I'm grinding, I still manage to get stuff in my eyes. But fortunately, it's fewer and far between. But I don't think you necessarily want to be wearing a whole face situation when you're forging. But if you have to, then maybe that's what works for you. But I wear at least like a simple pair of eye protection that you can just get from like Harbor Freight or something like that. But I'm 100% on board with wearing eye protection.
You don't want to be wearing those TikTok leggings while you're forging, not with that netting.
Definitely don't want to be looking at them when you're forging. Yeah,
Have mercy,
smash
babe.
your hand.
You got to wear glasses, and you got to figure out what works for you. I have the 3M ones that are a little bit more rounded, and then but the problem is they fog up. I do have these, what is that? They're black framed. They call Mavericks. Those are pretty good too. But you still, there are ways in which to get in. I mean, the only way you could do, if you really want 100% protection, is obviously wear goggles, but that's kind of like, ridiculous. I like anything that says, I buy boxes of eye protection, and then the cleaner and the newer they are, the less I notice them on my face, and then the less likely I'm going to touch them or take them off. Because I have a tendency to put them on my forehead, or not, maybe not wearing them all the time, and I have to be a little bit more.
All that hair dye comes off onto them, I can imagine.
Pardon me?
Let's take another question.
Wait, what did you say?
All that hair dye that you're sweating down your forehead, that's all going to come into your glasses. Ugh, not good.
I need some hair dye. I got too much gray.
I'll do another question, and maybe Geoff could queue up some unsolicited advice. Maybe we had some this week.
Yes.
Okay. Question from Dustin Young. Hey, cuties, can I ask you a question? I know this has probably been answered, but I'm hoping you guys will run it back. What's the best welder type? And maybe a recommendation, whether it's TIG, MIG, or stick, for welding up steels for forge welding, etc. I'm thinking of getting a welder to build some brackets and tool holders. I want to ensure that will be dual purpose later down the road. And he says the Miller 211, which is a MIG, is what he has his eyes on, but would love to hear from you all. Cheers and thanks for the laughs. Now, this is quite timely because myself and Mareko were talking this week via DM about welders, because we're both in the market for a new welder. So I don't know. I haven't done any research yet. I don't know if Mareko has yet, but this may be a good one for listeners to tell us what we need as well. And here's the thing. Tag the manufacturers. They may want to give us one. Who knows? Shameless. No, but seriously, we are looking for one. So any advice?
TikTok leggings to get a pair for Craig.
Do you think TikTok leggings?
Fat ass in
we'll
there.
get a pizza oven for Mareko, a welder for me. What do you want, Geoff? We'll all wear these leggings.
I need enlightenment. I need peace on earth and enlightenment. I don't need physical things.
Okay, there we go. There we go. But seriously, I've been using a shitty stick welder for any welding that I do, and it's
terrible.
It's not pretty. It does the job, but it's not pretty. So if anybody's got any recommendations on what I should be using, let me know.
Well, there's a couple things. Is your stick welder AC DC?
On a highway to hell.
If it does DC, and you can switch from DC negative to DC positive, you can get the kit to convert it to a TIG welder. It'll be a scratch start TIG welder, but you can get basically the stinger will go into the stinger, your tungsten will go into the stinger, and then you get a bottle of argon, and then you end up kind of converting your AC DC buzz box into a TIG welder. You can do that.
Okay, that may be a route forward then. Yeah, I'm not sure if it does. I'll need to check.
I can give you the information. I did that with my old buzz box. I got an old buzz box and I did it, and it works. It's scratch start, so you don't have a lot of variability, but it works pretty good for TIG welding.
Yeah. When you say scratch start, are you actually scratching the tip, or are you just slowly bringing it close to almost to contact, and then it like an arc jumps, and then you start welding?
Yeah. Yes.
Okay. So you're not actually
scratching.
scratching.
No, but I mean, scratch start is usually. It's just there's no pedal. Like they're not. It doesn't have enough energy for a pedal. So you get close, and then it makes the arc, and then you start to feed in the filler rod once you make the puddle. I think that personally, here's the good thing. I think MIG welders are the way to go for a few reasons. They're the most versatile. You can do regular construction with them. A lot of times with TIG welding, you're not really going to be doing a lot of structural work with a TIG welder. So if you ever do something where there's like weight bearing, you got to be really careful, because there's not a ton. It's usually it's all based on how big your puddle is and how much your filler rod is and your voltage and everything like that. There's a lot more into it versus a MIG welder. You can get a little bit more, it's just might be a little bit more versatile overall. I had a really interesting conversation with Mike Quisenberry again, a couple of years ago. He was telling me that when he puts together billets to forge weld, he'll use a TIG welder, and then he'll use stainless steel filler rod. And what happens is when you grind everything away, the stainless steel gets bright blue. So if you've gotten all your filler rod out. Because that's a big problem. Like if you use a MIG welder and you just go full blast and you don't realize it, you could leave some of that MIG weld material, that MIG weld steel, into the mosaic. But if you're using something completely foreign that you can actually see, especially when you're grinding everything down, changes color differently, that's a benefit. But the one thing is with the TIG welders and the MIG welders is, I don't know what country you're from, but with MIG welders, I can't buy tanks of 75-25 from any local guys. I have to do a lease with this short tank. So really? I always, with the TIG welder, I can get small tanks of argon, but for 75-25, for some reason, I can't buy my own tank. So I'm on these leases, and if I'm not welding all year long, I'm paying a lease, $100 a year or whatever, something on the same tank that I haven't used in a while. So
you just buy your own tank.
No, you can't get, like, the gas supply places don't sell the 75-25 tanks, the argon CO2 tanks. So I mean, it's just the way it is. I mean, I don't know. Maybe I'm sure I'm gonna get. Yeah, I'm sure I'm gonna get a. Whoa, you should be living with me down in, Pennsylvania or something like that.
That's a real place, by the way, Craig.
Yeah, Pennsylvania.
Yeah.
That's the only thing. And between you and me, stay away from flux core. It's nothing but problems unless you're on a job site.
Yeah, I mean, I would say MIG welder is going to cover most of what everybody wants to get done. But if you're trying to get into more complex mosaic Damascus and stuff like that, then you might want to try to do a TIG welder. There are multi-process machines that will do TIG, stick, and MIG. I don't know if they're necessarily the greatest machines in the world, but we're also, like, welding isn't, if you're a knife maker, isn't your full-time job. You don't need the creme de la creme to get work done. So even a multi-process might be something you want to look into. They're usually a little bit more expensive, but yeah, I would say for most people, MIG is going to be plenty, and TIG is like a bonus.
Yeah, because then your next door neighbor is going to want you to weld their axle onto their car, or the muffler fell off.
Don't do
and
any
hey, can you
welding for
can
anybody.
you patch this shit up? Can you patch this shit up for me? And you're going to get bike stands. Did I ever tell you this fucking asshole back in the day asked me to fix his motorcycle welding? I re-welded his motorcycle stand up for him, and he was going to give me a bottle of Jameson's for the fucking job. He never fucking gave it to me.
Oh boy!
Fucking don't do it. Don't do gifts for people. Don't do jobs for people if they're prompt. Don't just. I know you didn't ask, but this is the part of the show where I change completely 360. And if you have unsolicited advice, please feel free to send it in the show. And this is the time where I know you didn't ask, but. And our first one comes from Broadbeck Ironworks' own Ryan Broadbeck, and he said, I know you didn't ask, but I'm about to change your life forever. When consulting with my tattoo artist about finishing my sleeve, he mentioned that I do something simple around my elbow. I asked him if there was if there was too much movement around that area, and would the tattoo hold out over time. Boy, was I wrong. Apparently, the elbow skin is quite loose and very flexible, in exactly the same way as a ball sack, making it difficult to get fine details. Essentially, you have a ball sack skin on your elbow. I know everyone now is resisting touching their elbow and will never look at their elbow the same way. You're welcome. Keep up the awesome podcast, guys. That was from Ryan Broadbeck of Broadbeck Ironworks.
So where's the tip?
Don't get your fucking elbow tattooed, because it's going to be like a kind of a
your ball bag.
It's going to doodle on scrotum. We've really fucking. I'm sorry, Holly. We really you've given us such a great episode, and we're following it up with testicle
ball bag jokes.
Should we? That would be a good time to tell us about your Broadbeck Ironworks grinder, don't you think?
Well, yeah, I think it would be. Tell us about your Broadbeck Ironworks grinder.
Tell Ryan and his elbow about his grinders.
We now know what his ball bag looks like. If you just take a look at his elbow, that's exactly what his ball bag looks like.
Oh, God. Broadbeck Ironworks has a wonderful grinder. Their 2x72 grinder is one of the best around. It goes from horizontal to vertical. It has great long arms, and it has a long platen and great arms, and it's very versatile for your shop, especially if you have a small one. And if you go to broadbeckironworks.com and put in Knife Talk 10, you get 10% off their grinders. And I love mine. I love mine very much. What do you guys think?
Nice. Any more tips?
Yeah. This one comes from Jason Hope. Okay, your massage episode had me in stitches. Oh, I gotta. This one's good. God. A guy at work threw out his back, and after whining for a couple of days, he finally comes back to work, and he was very sheepish and quiet. At the coffee break, he revealed that he had a massive pulsating hard-on at the massage parlor. This is from a couple episodes ago. This is a real episode. I thought it was hilarious. Later, I hammered at our company's Christmas party, and I pressured him into telling my wife the story. He bashfully tells the story and then adds at the end, the worst part is she prayed afterwards. Alarm bells. Where did you go for this massage? The mall. And he says, was it a tall lady or a short one? It was a short one. Oh, no. The massage therapist was my mom.
Oh.
He was apologetic.
Oh.
And I did my best.
He's getting a rock on, thinking of his mum. Oh.
And he was apologetic, and I did my best to block the whole thing from my mind. Shortly after I left the company, 10 years later, I get a job, and guess who is the shop foreman? Here's the dilemma. How do I look my boss in the eye now that I know this motherfucker got turned on by my mother?
Oh, jeez. Oh, That's just embarrassing.
Get a new job. That's the answer for that. Okay. I mean,
Simple as simple as that.
So, that got very awkward. Okay. Rough Cut Knives. Hey guys, I know you didn't ask, but about Damascus patterns, Alex Steele has several videos on YouTube where he and Will Stelter explain how they cut and re-weld blocks to make a certain pattern. The older stuff on the channel is very educational. Thanks. Love listening KTP and TPBP, TFBP, the Full Blast podcast. Forever member of the 4.5-inch angle grinder community, and I wear my shirt at least once a week, LOL. There you go.
Okay, cool. That's probably the end of the show, really,
Jesus
isn't it?
Christ. I mean, it was this is some way to end.
let's bring things down a little bit more relaxing.
Yeah.
Stop thinking about Ryan's ball bag and stuff. Mareko, what's the dream for the week?
Dream for the week. Well, it's St. Patrick's Day coming up. I actually am part Irish.
Paint yourself green and run up and down.
I actually am Irish
Green,
on my mom's side. And we're getting the corned beef. We're going to do, as an adult, I've never done the corned beef, cabbage, potatoes, carrots, soda bread kind of dinner. And so we're going to get some family together kind of for the first time in a while. And we're going to all get our grub on. And I'm excited. I'm looking forward to that.
corned beef and cabbage is
other
about
than
as
that,
good as it gets. It is banned
pretty
from our
fucking
household,
good, man.
though. Banned from the household.
Bound because it stinks at all.
Oh,
It
not
smells like
that.
stinky
It's the-
feet.
It's the afterwards. It's just like the farts
It's
are
gonna be pretty
outrageous.
farty,
oh
yeah.
my god! It's just like, I mean, I have not had corned beef in probably 15 years because we had some issues. It was, so
It sounds good. It sounds like fun getting people together, eating, drinking, being merry. Sounds good to me.
Yeah.
Geoff, what have you got? What's the dream?
I'm looking forward to nice weather. I'm looking forward to getting some things done and some stuff out the door. And I'm looking forward to spending some time. We might do the fire pit this weekend because the weather's so nice. So I'm just looking forward to a nice, relaxing weekend. Oh, but it's Monday, right? I'm looking forward to kicking ass. That's what I'm looking forward to. And fitting into my TikTok leggings.
What am I looking forward to this week? I forgot to mention my laser that I got very excited about a few months back, which I've used a lot, blew up this week.
Oh boy.
Blew up. And there's been a lot to and fro in and find out what's wrong with it. And we think it's just the power supply. So I'm hoping that's coming this week. So I'm looking forward to that because I've got a number of things waiting to be done. So that'll be cool. I'm also building the bar in the new house in the pub, which is going to be pretty cool. So yeah, I'm just hoping, everything goes to plan that way, really.
Nice.
I think that's a show. Thank you to everybody for listening. Remember, if you've got any questions, you can always DM them to us.
Contact us via DM at Knife Talk on Instagram.
Oh, let me do it again. Ready?
Contact us via DM at Knife Talk.
Podcast on Instagram. Knife Talk Podcast on Instagram. That's a show. Thank you all for listening. Bye for now.
This show is brought to you by The Makery, the podcast network for makers.
I have to apologize.
I much prefer this on a Friday night. It's so much
I
better.
have to apologize because we had a week off and I loaded everything up in the show notes like a week and a half ago. And I hadn't looked at them until we said, hey, let's do what do you think about this part? And I'm like reading through, I'm like, some of these are like.
We haven't touched the questions. We've got dozens
I know,
and
but
dozens
like
and
it got
dozens to
a
carry
little
over.
bit unnecessary, especially after like I'm getting all these nice messages about, from like Nick Rossi and all these people about wow, what a wonderful job you guys did with Holly, and I'm like, now we're talking about Ryan's ball bag and getting your erection from your mother. I'm like, God, what am I doing?
Oh, jeez. So, what do we think of this brand deal? Are we all on board?
I guess I'm for it.
I think we could have some fun with it.
Fine, I'm
Sure.
with you guys. We'll
I mean,
figure it out.
are they sending product to us to use, or are we just talking about it?
I don't want to.
I don't think I have any use for this stuff.
Oh.
I don't think it's for a review. I just think it's it basically. I mean, they can see our listenership is like 98% male.
It's
and
after
let's
this.
face it, a lot.
Sure, after this episode, it's 99.5. Holly even turned this motherfucker off, and she's a devoted listener. She turned this shit off.
So it suits the audience, and that's the only way they look at it. It's just purely a numbers game for them. It would suit the audience. So yeah, it'd be cool. The other thing that we haven't talked about for a while is the Dharma Steel Chef Invitational. Whether we're still doing that. She's reached out a few times, and I keep meaning to get back to her. I think it only makes sense if we've got knives ourselves. I think doesn't it? I don't know. I haven't done anything with the Dharma Steel yet. Still, because I'm a little bit scared. But I am going to crack on with it this week, so I will have a knife done by then for that. And I don't know. What do you guys think?
I most likely won't have it finished in time, but I would love to do it. I think it would be fun
Yeah.
if we did an event. But
Totally.
I don't know if I'm gonna
Okay,
have
yeah,
I'm
I
up
think it would
for
be
it
fun.
too, yeah.
I do think it would be fun. Okay, cool.
How would it work? Would we kind of work that out, or?
Yeah, well, it seems to be. Obviously, it's all online this year, like it was last year. And they have. Imagine like a Zoom call, but there's like lots of rooms you can go in and out of. So every maker that's been invited. So I think there's 15 makers they have every year. I know Fingal's one of them, and he's got a bunch of knives and so on. They all have like a room, so guests can log on. They can go in and out of these rooms. They can chat with the people, and they can see their knives and all that kind of thing. And these are, from what I can gather, they're mainly chefs, but obviously a lot of other knife makers, because anybody can attend. Anybody can attend. But what they're saying is that we should have a room as well and do a live show. And then the other makers could then pop into our room and we could talk to them. And yeah, and we just goof around, I suppose.
I love it.
Yeah.
I think it's great.
It could be
Might as
good.
well get over it.
The only sort of problem I could foresee, I think this lasts maybe 3 or 4 hours. So whether we have a set time we do it, or I'm not sure. We need to sort of come up with some sort of idea for that. But I'm sure we could do something. It'd be
Maybe
fun
we
to-
could do like it would be good if we do like a pre-show, do the show, and then do a post-show. Because then we could kind of 3 hours might be long, but I'm for it. Whatever you guys want to do, I'm 100% for it. I think it'd be
Okay.
fun.
Okay. I mean, so we could sort of do a show, and we're going to probably recognize some of the people sort of coming into the room anyway as listeners or people we follow. So by the looks of things, we can get to sort of just chatting. We can sort of bring them into the chat, that kind of thing as well.
Yeah.
So she's given me a login to the platform, so I can have a play around with it and see what we can do. But it seems to be that way that we can sort of people can join us for the chat, and we can certainly do that with the other makers anyway. I know.
Did you hear? Sorry, what were you saying, Mareko?
I was just gonna say take some live questions.
Yeah, that could be cool. Yeah. Yeah.
Did you see? Chris and the boys over Handmade did a Clubhouse. He did a live.
I didn't see it. I heard the episode, obviously, but I didn't go on the Clubhouse for the actual live.
Are you
itself.
on Clubhouse?
No.
neither.
No.
I think I can
There's-
handle
no.
one more
I've been
thing.
spending less and less time on
I don't
stuff.
think I can
really.
handle one more thing.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
But I like the idea
Um,
that they were able to the audio was hard because they were getting a lot of feedback and echo. But it
Yeah.
was neat that they were figuring out ways to interact with the audience. That's the one thing I wish we had I almost said at one point we should just buy a burner phone and and like have call-ins, but then, or
yeah. I mean,
I just don't know how you do
we
it.
can do it via Skype. I mean, I could have my Skype open all
Yeah, but
throughout, and we can just people can just use the email address and Skype in if they want, and it's up to us then to filter them. If it's a bag of balls, we can just cut them off and carry on, which could be quite funny.
it would be fun. It would be if we could figure out a way to make it easy. The problem is like with radio shows, they'll have a producer who's screening calls, and then they can feed, like, you'll have a screen in front of you. There's, guy in line 1 has, whatever, elephantitis or something like that. Guy in line 2 is, asks a question about this, and then you can kind of like focus it so it's not so random. But I tell you what, there's a funny thing that Howard Stern was playing. There was an old radio guy who used to do this thing called radio graffiti. And what would happen was he would just basically clear the decks of the phone lines. He would pick up every single line, and he would say radio graffiti, and then you would have to, and then the person on the line would say whatever they had. So he'd just go one after the other, and like bingo, bango, bongo, get every single one, and people would say, they'd say something, everyone would say something crazy, but it was like this kind of neat. It was just kind of everything about it was just looked so fun.
Like chat roulette.
Yeah, like chat roulette. Yeah. I just don't know how
I think it could be fun if we just put the Skype address out and I had it open throughout the whole show, and if anybody dialed in, we essentially patch them in like they would on a radio show, and if it's shit, we can just cut them off, and I think that could be funny in itself.
I think, why don't we give it a whirl sometime?
Okay. Yeah.
Craig, get this motherfucker off my phone.
Exactly. Yeah, and I think it could be funny, and there's no doubt some people who are listening will intentionally come on to be provocative or to do something, and we can just cut them off. And at the end of the day, we're not putting it out live, so we can always edit it out afterwards if it's really bad. But I think it could be funny.
It would be fun to
rid
do.
Of them anyway.
We call it knife talk roulette, something like that.
Exactly. Yeah.
That'd be fun.
Yeah, it could be fun. Let's do it then. For next week, I'll advertise like a Skype. I'll set up a Skype address specifically for the show. I'll have it open throughout the show. Especially this time of day, because we're doing a different time. Before, when we tried it, it was like 9 a.m. or earlier, wasn't it, in the States? Nobody's getting up in the morning saying, I'm gonna call up and give him a dick joke at 7 a.m. on a Sunday. But I'm thinking Friday afternoon, people are in a different mood. It could be fun. We could get some sort of fun interactions, maybe. Yeah.
It's going to be, the funny part is really going to be you giggling, seeing all the things people are saying. I don't know how you'd figure out what people are going to talk about. Like, do they, in the Skype, can they type in their different things, or?
Well, no, we'd actually it'd be like a phone call. It's like,
hi, who's this?
Pop up on my phone, and all I'd know is their email address, and we just say accept, and they're also their audio. They're on the show like the three of us. They'd be just another person. Yeah, and if they're shit, we just literally, I can press one button and get rid of them. And I think that could be the funny part.
I think it would be really fun. It would be. We'd have to give people an idea of the time to go in.
Yeah.
I love it. I love it. We've got to prep people though, like prep them to know what, you got to prep them a little bit.
Yeah.
Hello?
Yeah.
Am I on the air? Hello?
Can you hear me? Can anybody hear me?
Oh, great.
Well, I can actually do that. I have got the facility here on this board to mute myself so I can speak to any other person and you guys wouldn't hear it. So I could do that sort of whole thing, then bring them in. But whilst that's happening, I don't know what's going on anyway.
We would have to have the cameras up so we can kind of watch each other's cues, maybe like stick a finger up in the air and say, all right, line 2, welcome to Knife Talk. Who's this? Hi, who's this?
Yeah, and I just think we're just brash with it if we literally just say, Craig, get rid of him. Or, we've had enough now. You're boring me. Bye-bye. And that could be the funny bit. I really do think.
Asshole. It's going to be great. Fucking love it. So how would we promote? How would we promote? Is this now that people kind of know that they're listening now? So like Friday at around 4 o'clock, 3:30, 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock at Eastern Standard Time.
Yeah. What's this? 11 p.m. sort of Paris time, so there's 10 p.m. on a Friday if you're in the UK. What are you there, Mareko?
It's almost 2 here, so we started at noon my time, noon to 2 is usually when we're doing the podcast here.
Maybe we'll put it on, like maybe we could do like Instagram stories when we're starting in, doing Instagram stories with the Skype address.
Yeah, and we could even go live 20 minutes before the show. And just say, look, we're going live in 20 minutes. Get any questions you've got ready and Skype in. You'll be live on the show, kind of.
I love it. I love it.
I used to listen to Adam Carolla's podcast a lot, and what they would take live phone calls and they would put out on Twitter, which I don't think we would use. We would just use our Instagram. Probably would make the most sense and just let people know. they're taking phone calls starting at such and such time or in such and such window, and that's how people knew when to try to reach out or call in.
Yeah. And I mean, that's the thing. The way this works is, so this sort of production board thing that I've got connects to my phone. So whether you're using Skype or, I don't really want to put my phone number on there.
No.
I don't want people ringing
Crazy.
me. You know,
You're going to get Diego LePen telling you about his pizza. and Ryan's going to be talking about his ball bag. Just kidding.
But I could set up even better, Instagram for Knife Talk. If I'm logged into Instagram Knife Talk, people can make calls now, can't they? That's probably the easiest way, isn't it?
Oh, and just
you know,
like
on
hold
Instagram,
hold your phone up to the mic?
No, I don't need to, because my phone connects by Bluetooth to the board, so that's all fine.
Oh, cool.
But, you know, for a listener, if they want to drop into the show, they could just make a call to us via Instagram.
Wow.
That makes sense.
How does it come through the board?
Oh, it's seamless. It's all good. So you wouldn't hear it from my phone. You'd hear it, you know, through the board as if it's a microphone. It'd
So
be
it
fine.
should sound great.
Yeah, it should sound really good. Yeah, that's the way to do it. Just give us a call on Instagram.
What a production meeting we're having. Fucking made
We sound
things happen.
semi-professional.
We didn't even think anything was going to happen. Talk about mixed drinks.
That's the way to do it, because then they're on Instagram anyway. We know that. Yeah, that's the way to do it. Cool.
Oh my God.
That's
we go. Hilarious.
That's how the pros do it.
That's how this is a show meeting. We're doing a great job. That's okay. Yeah. All right. Maybe this will be a thing. We can set like an amount of time. We got to figure something out in terms of like how it should be a knife question. It should be a nonsense question. Should it be just whatever? Let's take some phone calls.
I don't think we're going to be inundated. I think we get 1 or 2 calls a show, great. And the thing is, I don't have to pick up. If we've had 1 or 2, that's enough. I don't have to pick up.
There you
know,
go. Knife Talk Roulette.
Yeah,
taking calls.
Knife Talk Roulette. That's what it's called. Knife Talk Roulette. I like it.
There you go.
Be a star of the show.
Hi, who's this? Hi, I'm from Kentucky, Pennsylvania.
Love it. Love it. Let me. My phone's dead. I was going to say let's do it now quickly, just to tell my phone's dead. I can't. But yeah, it'll work fine. I know it will.
You had me going. That would be unbelievable if we could try it out now. Why don't we try it out?
I got no charger with me. No, I can't. I can't connect.
It'd only work because it'll plug in through the board. So.
Yeah, it'll work. That's what it does. I mean, we've done calls in the past where people have Skyped to my phone, and I just kind of
like
board
Professor, topless Professor.
So I can see his man boobs on his bed. Yeah,
that was the craziest thing because he seemed like such a serious professor. And then you described him without laughing. I guess it was 7:00 on a Sunday morning, and he was sitting at the desk without a shirt on, with
wasn't he in bed?
Yeah, in his bedroom. So you can see the bed behind him. He's sitting there without his shirt on, and he was quite a big lad. He wasn't slight, and he's chugging like this 5-gallon bottle of Coke as well.
Big gulp.
Talking about
it was unbelievable.
God bless him. God bless him.
You know the guy off The Simpsons with the ponytail in the comic shop? Picture that with his top off in his bedroom making Skype calls.
So good.
Oh, my God.
It's going to be so fun.
I'm sure he doesn't listen anymore.
Yeah.
Anyway, I've got to go. It's Friday night.
Yeah.
Yeah. Right. I shall speak to you all in the week. Yeah. Nice one. Cheers. Bye.
This show is brought to you by The Makery, the podcast network for makers.